Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day of chit chat about current affairs, stuff going on in Malaysia in particular. And today, I'm going to talk about something about high finance. Check this out. Opposition leader Anwar joins the chorus calling for a no confidence vote against Prime Minister Muhyiddin's government over the Fitch downgrade, which is the downgrade given by credit rating agency Fitch. DAP's Lim Guan Eng also, is piling on PM Muhyiddin, saying that because of the Fitch ratings fall, Lim Guan Eng urges the PM to permit the vote of no confidence in the Perikatan National Government, which of course the Prime Minister would not do. He would resist as much as possible. There's no that's just obvious. But let's take a look at this downgrade. Why is it such a big deal? Check it out. Fitch downgrades Malaysia's sovereign rating to BBB+, the first downgrade since the Asian financial crisis, which took place in 1997 and 1998. Read here, Fitch Ratings has downgraded Malaysia's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating to BBB+ from A- with a stable outlook. This is the first downgrade since the 97-98 Asian financial crisis. The depth and duration of the COVID-19 crisis have weakened several of Malaysia's key credit metrics, said Fitch Ratings. Right. Sounds very, very scientific and very, very important. Look, I highlighted this passage, which I thought was very important for us to begin this discussion. The government has secured passage of core legislation to implement relief measures, including the 2021 budget. But in Fitch's view, lingering political uncertainty following the change in government last March weighs on the policy outlook as well as prospects for further improvement in governance standards. If we translate this to normal people talk, what does this mean? It means that, Fitch says, even though Malaysia, you have passed a very good, solid, budget that passed on its first try through Parliament. We think that even though you took this highly positive step, to combat the pandemic, there's this lingering political uncertainty following the change in government last March. So, despite your good work in, passing a budget that takes into account the necessary measures to fight the COVID pandemic, we think that the change of government was just not very good. And it affects the prospects for further improvement in governance standards. What does that even mean? Sounds like, so I don't know. I'm not a professional, in a ratings agency, but that sounds like utter nonsense. Yeah, because what does it mean? What does a Fitch ratings agency know about governance standards or government policy outlook? So to answer this question, I did a little bit of research and I found an article that I rather like and I wanted to share with everyone. Here it is. From the Council of Foreign Relations, which is a very popular NGO website. Seems to be affiliated with foreignaffairs.com, very popular, very serious magazine, one of those very highbrow intellectual Menara Gading kind of magazines. So here's the introduction, and we'll go through it quite quickly. There are three big global credit ratings agencies, US-based S&P, Moody's, and Fitch Ratings, and they've come under intense scrutiny in the wake of the global financial crisis. This was in 2008. They are meant to provide investors with reliable information on the riskiness of various kinds of debt. These agencies have been accused of exacerbating the financial crisis and defrauding investors by offering overly favorable evaluations of insolvent financial institutions and proving extremely risky mortgage-related securities. Oh, really? Because that sounds exactly like what they need to avoid being ratings agencies whose job is to, impartially evaluate the products, financial products put in front of them, right? You might think so. Okay, so what exactly were they involved in? Let's take a look at the scandals. So let's see. Da, 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 da. Role in the financial crisis. In 2008, at the height of the global financial crisis, ratings agencies were accused of misrepresenting the risk associated with mortgage-related securities. Now, we all know this, and very briefly, for those who are, have not been around for past 12 years, in 2008, there was a huge crisis in the United States that consequently led to the concept, gave birth to the idea of contagion. That is, wow, our economy, our financial system is so infected and diseased that it can affect the world. That's where it came from. And the reason was that there were a lot of fancy financial instruments created from a very lousy underlying mortgages. So a lot of people are buying homes in America, and they got mortgages even when they were not capable of paying them back. So they were paying, but at any time, they were very vulnerable and they could stop paying because they were just on the cusp of defaulting. They were like not having very good credit. But financial, banks managed to take these shitty loans, turn them into some other kind of financial product. I think something like a bond, whereby somebody else bore some of the risk, and then they would sell these financial products, like a financial product that would pay you a return, basically, over time. Meant to be very safe, and the ratings agencies all rated them AAA, which is the highest possible rating. And naturally, the whole thing blew up. Everybody was unable to pay. Everybody lost money. Except of course the I think several important parties like the ratings agencies didn't lose money, or the banks that created the shitty products did not lose any money because they just sold them to other investors who then bought them and were badly burned, lost all their money. So naturally, this led to a lot of anger towards the banks as well as the ratings agencies. Well, why didn't the ratings agencies know? That was the question. They were supposed to know because they were told, right, when they're pitched these products, they're told that, well, these are how we do it. This is the kind of thing that we're doing. Why were they so wrong? And the answer, or at least the proposed answer, was that, well, here's the problem, a fundamental issue with the structure of the industry. That is, well, if I'm the bank and I create a new financial product, I want to sell to people, but they don't trust the product because it's brand new. So I need to go to ratings agencies and say, hey, would you kindly rate my product? I'll tell you all about it. I'll show you the math, tell you, all the information that you need, give it a rating. And so the ratings agency will go, okay, sure, why don't you tell me about it? And then the bank will tell the ratings agency about it, and what do you think they will do? Of course, the ratings agency could say, no, actually that sounds really sketchy, and I'll probably give you a very lousy rating, Would the bank then stick around, pay the ratings agency to go through with it, and say, okay, sure, give it a rating, any rating, just so that we can have something? No, of course not. They shop around a bit. They go to the next door guy and say, hey, let me tell you about this new product I have. And so on and so forth until they get one that is favorable and that they can tolerate, right? And then therein lies the tension. Once upon a time, the customers who wanted these ratings, they wanted to invest their money in certain financial products, would pay for these ratings, and that's the subscriber pays model. Whereas when it came to these brand new mortgage-backed securities, these were done by an issuer pays model. And of course, the incentives were lined up the wrong way. So banks paid, they got their good rating. And then once the first ratings agency went ahead and gave a good rating, the rest followed suit. And there you have it. Everything has a top quality rating. So it is not necessarily, ill intention. It's just humans being humans and their incentives being what they are. They want to make the business. They want to be first. They want to, have the best customer relationship. This is what happens. So knowing this now, should we trust ratings agencies? we would think that they would have all the sophisticated financial models and mathematical models to give us the best possible information, best possible judgment on all kinds of things. Sophisticated financial products down to like sovereign, country level debt, whether countries issue bonds or foreign exchange. I think like what Fitch was doing for Malaysia. You think that you would kind of get it right, but do they? Because when have you ever seen the news that says, so and so ratings agency got made the wrong call? Now, if ratings agencies were indeed so good at their job, would we expect them, very reasonably to say, well, that means, if we have some kind of like banking crisis, a financial crisis, we ought to observe that ratings agencies would, some of the time, warn us about these pending crises, right? Because they would see it coming more than most, because they would be keeping an eye on these high-level international finance metrics. But do we see that to be the case? I don't think so. I don't think so. In fact, the truth is, we know very well that nobody does. Nobody sees them coming. They come very abruptly and cause a lot of damage very quickly. So, should we trust the ratings agencies? And how does this leave us, with the situation of Malaysia and the downgrade that Malaysia was just given? Well, my humble, point of view, layman point of view, there's no credibility to it. Why would you believe it? If you are Malaysian like I am and you're watching this video and you think about what you know about Malaysia, do you think that it's any worse than what the Fitch researchers do? Because they go on the same news that you and I have access to. In fact, Fitch doesn't even have a Malaysia office. They have many offices in Asia. I just had a look at their website, but I already closed the tab. They have two in China, Shanghai and Beijing. They have in Singapore. They have in Bangkok. They have in Jakarta, Colombo in Sri Lanka, many places, but not in Kuala Lumpur. They have a bunch of leadership people and researchers listed on their about page, also no Malaysians. So why would I trust the Fitch rating? And ask yourself this: whoever made an investment decision based on a credit ratings agency's ratings? Well, not the average person like you or I, because the way that it is created, is intended, is designed to be for institutional investors, which in our case refers to pension funds, large, very large, maybe investment funds, investment trusts, the kind that need to spread out their money across many different things. A little bit more risky here, a little bit less risk over here, a little bit in the United States, a little bit in Southeast Asia, just to spread around their investments to make sure that they don't put all their eggs in one basket, doing the very sensible thing that is diversification. So does this really mean very much for the average person? Probably not. Because the way that, and I'm speaking from undergraduate econs here, the way that this goes would be that, okay, when the rating goes down a bit, Malaysia's government issues some kind of bonds to investors, they may have to pay a little bit more on those bonds. Like if your rating is very good, you can get by with paying very little interest, very little returns on your bonds, because you're trustworthy. The returns will come from risky assets, whereas your safe asset will be paying very little and you'll be cheaper. All in all, it's not that big a deal, but we can see that in Malaysia at least, opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim, and also smaller opposition leader Lim Guan Eng, use this to as a stick to beat the Muhyiddin government with, which whether you believe it's fair or not is a thing that people do. It's politics as usual, and the Fitch rating is not really that big a deal, in my opinion. Granted, again, I'm not an expert in this. But speaking of, so that covers the Fitch ratings news piece. But I'd like to say just a little bit more about Anwar because I've been speaking about him on and off quite frequently. So I want to give him a little bit of credit because during the budget negotiations, he actually voted to pass the budget, which was rather unexpected for many people, not for me. I correctly predicted that it would pass, and it did, and I'm very proud of that prediction. And although there were rumblings of discontent among the opposition, Anwar's like to stay as opposition leader. Of course, because there really wasn't a strong reason to oppose the budget. The budget, there was no real problems with it because despite 2 weeks of solid fighting in the media, looking for flaws in the budget that the public would respond to, the opposition, the politicians that were playing up the issue did not successfully gain any traction. Anwar, of course, very sensibly says, yeah, it's not over. We will continue to debate it. We'll fight it at the policy stage. We will continue. Opposition will push for block voting during the committee stage, which I'm not very clear about, but I think that it means we will go through, the more detailed debate process and we will fight it there, which again is very sensible. I, as a citizen, I support that because I think it should be scrutinized. The budget should be scrutinized very carefully. So he's doing the job of the people, and I support that. I give him credit for passing the budget, voting for the budget when needed. And he was, in fact, responding to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong's call to pass the budget, so that the people can get relief as quickly as possible, which was exactly what happened. And so I'm very grateful for that, and I give him a rare bit of credit for it. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for listening yet again. We talked about the Fitch ratings and what it means for Malaysia, which is actually not very much. And I give a little bit of credit to a man who doesn't often get enough credit, Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim. And hope everyone enjoyed today's video. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.